Ladies and gentlemen, again, it's Fraser Nation. Another section for you, 3.3. We're going to prove lines parallel. This is, of course, opposite to what we were doing in 3.2 because in 3.2, we already had parallel lines. Okay, so let me write that down. 3.2 already had parallel lines. 3.3, of course, is saying prove lines parallel. So we don't know that these lines are parallel until we prove it. So stuff gets a little backwards from 3.2 to 3.3. The essential question is probably obvious. How do you prove lines parallel? And just like in 3.2, the remember section is going to be the same. So make sure you write this down. Corresponding means matching, matching position. Alternate means opposite. Consecutive means same side. Interior means inside. And exterior means outside. And then parallel means not intersecting. They're not touching in that they are. Here's another word that you probably need. Coplanar. Okay. You need two coplanar things for it to be parallel. Well, let's go to the next slide. Um, this is kind of a graphic organizer. It kind of helps put things into perspective. We want to remember that when we're dealing with corresponding angles, alternate interior, alternate exterior, and vertical angles, that we have congruent angles. So in this picture, corresponding angles 1 and 2, these would be congruent if these lines are parallel. Alternate exterior, so on opposite sides of your transversal, this on the left, this is on the right, this is outside the line, this is outside the lines. That 3 and 4 have to be congruent. Same thing with alternate interior, different sides on the inside of your lines. And in vertical angles, if I had angle 1 and I had angle 2 right here, angles across from each other are going to be congruent. Okay, so these four are telling me that things are going to be congruent. When I have a straight line with two angles, so angle 1 and angle 2, they're not congruent. They have to be 180 degrees. Okay, so say if angle 1 was like 105 degrees, I've already used up 105, but angle 2 and angle 1 have to equal up 180. So angle 2 would have to be 75 because, like I said, when you have when you have two angles with a straight line, then they both have to equal up 180 degrees. Same thing with consecutive interior. Consecutive means same side, like we said in remember, but these are not congruent. Okay, these have to equal up 180 degrees. Let me write that down. Okay, so if you already knew like angle 8 was like, I don't know, 100 degrees, then angle 7 would have to be 80 degrees because we know that both angles have to be 180 degrees. Okay, so this is something that you're going to want to remember. Of course, there's multiple corresponding angles. Like, let's color code this. So, matching positions. Let's say top of the line and to the right, top of the line to the right. 3 and 4 would also be corresponding. Or let's say like angle 7 and angle 8, opposite sides on the outside. Let's say angle 1, angle 2. Let's say 3 and 4. Okay. I just wanted to put kind of a focus or, just kind of focus on some things. So, anyway, let's go to the next card. There's no key vocabulary. I think we all kind of know what we need right now. So let's move to the next slide. Let's write this down, and you probably need to pause the video. Postulate 16 says the corresponding angles converse. Remember, converse does mean backwards. Okay, so for this postulate, it's the backwards one of 15. Okay, so backwards of postulate 15. Okay, because postulate 15 says if lines are parallel, then the corresponding angles are congruent. Postulate 16 says If you have corresponding angles congruent, then the lines are parallel. Okay, so if angle 1 and angle 2 are congruent, then we know that line A is parallel to line B. We could also say this. If, okay, let's do this. We could also say if angle, or if, let's put an if right here. My handwriting. If angle 7 is congruent to angle 8, then line A is parallel to line B. Okay? If angle 1 is congruent to angle 2, then line A is parallel to line B. So you're just proving that A and B are parallel because you don't know that yet. Theorem 3.4, same thing. If two lines are cut by the transversal so that the alternate interior angles are congruent, then lines are parallel. So if angle 3 and angle 4 are congruent, then line C is parallel to line D. 3.5, the same thing goes with alternate exterior. If angle 5 is congruent to angle 6, then, let's put a then here, then line T is parallel to line O. And then consecutive interior angles, notice I have it in red, supplementary, okay? Has to be 180 degrees. It doesn't say congruent. So if your consecutive interior angles, so right next to each other, if 7 and angle 8 equal to 180 degrees, then line M is parallel to line V. Okay, so let's go ahead, look at some guided practice. Oh, no, I'm sorry. We got to remember this as well. Transitive property of parallel line. If you don't remember what transitive property is if A equals B, B equals C, then A equals C. Same thing goes with lines. If two lines are parallel to the same line, then they are parallel themselves. So if line G is parallel to line Q, okay, and line Y is parallel to line Q. So this is parallel to line Q, this is parallel to line Q, then we must think that line G is parallel to line Y. Okay? Look at that again. If line G is parallel to Q, line Y is parallel to Q. So here's a Q, here's a Q. That means that G has to be parallel to line Y. Okay? Let's go ahead and look at the guided practice. So if you look at this and you say, is there enough information in the diagram to conclude that line M is parallel to line N? Well, look at it. Okay? What can you figure out from this graph right here? Well, there's a few things that you could do. You could figure out what this angle is. You can figure out what this angle is. You can figure out what this one is. You can figure out what this one is. So you have options. I'm going to go ahead and use this. So remember, let's say straight line. Okay? Straight line means what? Okay? Means 180 degrees. Okay? So look at this line right here. Okay? So step one would be, let's figure out this one right here. Okay? So if we know that a straight line has to be 180 degrees, right? Then we know that this angle right here has to be 180 minus 75 or 105. Okay? So if you know that this is 105 and we know that this is 105, well, then we could say, yes, we do have enough information because I use this to figure out this angle, and 105 and 105 are the same. They're outside my two lines, so let's see. Outside, okay, outside my two lines, and they're alternate. They're opposite of one another. So what do you have? you say that it is alternate exterior angles, okay? And we said in our theorem, if alternate exterior angles are congruent, then our lines have to be parallel, okay? I'm gonna do the same exact problem except in red, okay? So let's figure out, what if we had this one right here, okay? Well, remember, again, straight line means 180 degrees, so this would be 105. I'm sorry, no, that is not true. That was not true. I apologize. If you had 180 minus 105, okay, then you know that this has to be 75 degrees, okay? This has to be 75 degrees, okay? And we know from our theorem that if corresponding angles converse, if corresponding angles are congruent, then we know that these lines are parallel. So you could use either alternate exterior converse, or you could use the corresponding angles postulate, converse postulate. So you can put converse right here. Okay, so I did that two different ways, and we both kind of came up with yes. You do have enough information to say that M and N are parallel. Let's go with number 3. We didn't have a 2, so let's go with 3. Can you prove that lines A and B are parallel? Explain why or why not. Okay, well, remember, if this angle has one band and this angle has one band, that means that these are congruent. Okay, and look at these angles. These angles are both alternate. Okay. And they're both exterior. Okay. Well, our theorem says if alternate exterior angles are congruent, then you know that A and B have to be parallel. So this one, number 3, is a yes because of alternate exteriors converse. Okay. Number 4, this would be a yes because one band, one band. This angle is congruent to this angle. So this would be corresponding angles. They have matching positions, okay? So this one is on the right and at the bottom. This one's on the right on the bottom. So corresponding angles converse. And let's look at this. The measured angle 1 plus the measured angle 2 is equal to 180 degrees, okay? The only way that that's possible is if it's consecutive, okay? But do we have consecutive angles? No, we have alternate. Consecutive, remember people, means same side. And being that angle 1 and angle 2 are not on the same side of each other, this is a big fat no, sir. Okay, this is a no. This is a no because you don't have consecutive angles. You don't have same side. Okay. So number 5 would be a no. So let's go ahead, try to do that homework, see if things work out, ask me questions, quiz coming soon, and